Hey, it's Android AT here, and I just want to talk about stuff I like. So, I'm gonna call this series Need Speak and see how much I like talking. With that out of the way, let's talk about Is It Tough Being a Friend? It's a story about Ichiro Kobashi and his dream to be the protagonist's friend. You know, the guy that supports the main character, but kind of slowly fades in and out of existence? That guy. You might be asking yourself, why would anyone want to be the side character on purpose? Nobody knows who you are and you're either a joke or a trope. But sadly, a world without side characters just feels empty. I mean, the role itself doesn't look very important, but it can't be easy, right? Well, Is It Tough Being a Friend shows exactly how hard it is to be just a friend. This story starts off with a fight scene. Heroes versus bear monster. This bear lost, the story just started. And, just when our heroes being surrounded, they are interrupted by Ichiro Kobashi, the professional protagonist buddy. He makes it sound like a noble cause, but to sum it up real quick, he just wants to be filler, to just waste time and not matter. But you need it for pacing. It does sound like a joke, but he takes this really serious. Before our heroes were found, Ichiro became friends with every new transfer student, just in case they were someone special. The thing is that he made them special. He kind of ended up becoming a producer. You get an entire backstory for the first one, but for the next few, it's kind of just summed up in a line. Ichiro found genuine joy in helping people, but he kind of forgot his main purpose. He wants to support the one true protagonist, the one the world revolves around. And just when all hope was lost, Ryuga Hinomori appears. So what makes Ryuga so special? Just by being in a room, the strong will be like, "Oh, I like the look in his eyes." The name is also lit as well, so that's a plus. Bonus points for having a troubled history, looking off into the distance while saying edgy stuff, and pushing people away. At this point, Ichiro knew he found the hero of the story. You can't just say, "Don't concern yourself with me. I'm saying this for your own good, Kobashi." There's no way Ichiro could stay away. When it was finally Ichiro's turn to introduce himself to the class, as if it was part of his character description, he introduces himself as Ryuga's friend. Just look at Ryuga's face right there, for a second there. Anyways, moving on, this moment is what makes this story special. Just think about it for a second. A side character tries to be involved in the story on purpose. Just by existing, the side character is doing their job. But he went beyond that. From the outside, Ichiro's checking all the typical dumb friend boxes. For one thing, he's always around Ryuga. When it's just the two of them, he's playing the lovable idiot. And it's a pretty good contrast to Ryuga's cool, collected character. They get along really well, except for when it comes to one topic. Anything involving girls. It's a pretty common trope for the friend to be perverted. But Ichiro takes it to another level. Most times, a side character would be genuinely jealous. But it's all an act for Ichiro. He sees Ryuga as the dense protagonist, and he's trying his hardest to make Ryuga realize that maybe these girls like him. So he does all this dumb perverted shit to make Ryuga show the tiniest bit of interest in these girls, which never happens. And it's not like Ichiro has no interest in these girls, it's just that he'll compromise his role. His entire purpose in this story is to be Ryuga's friend, so no, he can't get a girlfriend. So Ichiro tries his hardest to stay in the background, but the story won't let him. It's not his fault. Probably. And that's how I would probably summarize it for all those people interested. The basics around the story is pretty standard. The world's being attacked by the forces of evil, and it's up to a group of supernatural high schoolers to fight them. There's one main hero and 3 female leads, and to spice things up, you have the hero's best friend. With everything at stake, will they be able to balance their school life with fighting the forces of evil? The story's full of tropes, and I just so happen to love tropes. And it's pretty nice, this story just plays on tropes really well. Let's use the heroines of this story to prove my point. You got your rich flat healer that can't cook, a lazy foreigner vampire, the serious but innocent big titty swordsman, and Ryuga. I am seriously selling these characters short. Sure, they can be summed up in a sentence, but that's kind of the magic of it, you know? Like how you kind of expect all the girls to want to end up with Ryuga, and Ichiro just minding his own business, ends up with a special relationship with all of them. Advisor, fashion consultant, blood bag, boyfriend. These are all titles that he didn't want, but was forced upon him. And the funny thing, this is all his fault too. It's like he's completely unaware of all his actions. As the story goes on, you just see Ichiro do some really ridiculous stuff, and just play it off as, this is what a side character does. If you ever do get into the story, because I don't want to spoil anything really, wait for the vampire chick in Ichiro being attacked. The one thing the story does really well is when the other characters interact with Ichiro. Without Ichiro, these characters are pretty much walking, talking tropes. So I want to tell you a story about Ichiro and friends, and try to just hook you on the magic of, is it tough being a friend? I'm going to try my best to kind of lead you there, but you kind of need to experience it yourself to kind of get the full picture. Now, let's set the stage. Ichiro's been playing the long game and has been friends with Ryuga for about a year now. He's starting to think the magic's disappearing because Ryuga's really mellowing out. And by mellowing out, I mean acting like a normal person. The reason for that's pretty simple too. Ryuga just got used to being around Ichiro and has become a lot less edgy. Which is great for Ryuga, but not really for a protagonist. So, they're just eating lunch on a roof, and Ichiro, sticking to his role as friend, pulls out his trusty best babes list, trying to get a reaction out of Ryuga, only to get complete disinterest. In truth, Ichiro doesn't care either, it's just that a dumb friend would do this. Then suddenly, out of nowhere, Ryuga's energy just spikes out of control. This is one of those moments where it'll be a good time for one of the female leads to show up. Which never happens. At the same time, Ichiro's just cursing out every other lead. The thought of helping Ryuga doesn't really come to mind, as that's a job for somebody else. Once everything settles down, Ichiro gives the obligatory, "Are you okay?" Since that's what a friend would do. Then you get this really fucking genuine, "Thanks for worrying about me," from Ryuga, which only makes Ichiro look like shit in comparison. Some time has passed, and the only one to realize this was Agasaki Rei, aka the big titty swordsman. The only problem with that is that the scene has already changed. She may have missed her chance, but now she's dragging away Ryuga. What would a dumb, perverted friend do at this point? You see your best friend, who just happens to be the hero of the story, being dragged away by a senior who just happens to be one of the love interests in the story. There's only one right answer. You ship it. And if it's not a real ship, then you have a chance, right? So, Ichiro, being the genius that he is, clings on to Rei, and huffing like a pig, calls her One-san. Of course, that doesn't work, and Rei and Ryuga just end up leaving the classroom. All the while, Ichiro's just enviously screaming in the background. In a typical story, this is where the scene would change, but the second he knows that those two are gone, he just acts like nothing happened and just brushes off that dust. As he was about to head home, he had a feeling that it might be more interesting to follow the two of them to Rei's dojo. And through a crack, he just spies on the two of them. He has this entire inner narration kind of describing the circumstances here. And what gets him derailed is the fact that the guardian deity is actually just called Dragon God. He gets so into just picking the perfect name for this deity that Ryuga actually surprised him. And to not be discovered by Rei, Ichiro silences Ryuga in the most interesting way. Well, Ichiro can't just say he's been spying on them, so he only has one choice. We're gonna take a sneak peek while Agasaki-san's still changing. Then Ryuga just gives up and stares right at him. Even Ichiro knows that this is not going to be a good idea, but he can't back down and admit that he's been spying on them. Committing to his dumb, perverted friend role, he decided to spice up Ryuga's life. After a small peek, he decides to invoke one of his hidden side character talents. The ancient art of sneezing. He's been training this art just in case. Obviously they get caught. Oh no. Rei reacts exactly what you expect, and Ichiro has some constructive criticism to give. Lose the bra and wrap some cloth around instead for more of those traditional Japanese girl vibes. Ichiro runs for his life, and Ryuga kinda trails behind him, but they get caught. Rei's letting Ichiro choose how he's gonna die. Death by clubbing, death by hanging, death by stabbing, and to explode. The obvious response is, "How about you blow up my mind with your beauty? That sound good, Ryuga?" He's cracking jokes and blaming Ryuga. Rei doesn't buy it and feels that Ryuga probably got dragged along. But then Ichiro just doubles down. "Baseless accusations! I told them to stop, I did! Let's stop, this isn't a nice thing to do." But then he started going on about some El Dorado. But he didn't mean any harm. He's a good boy. Ryuga's still kneeling and just says that's the opposite of what happened. Ichiro, out of options and down to his last words, warns Rei that he can see up her skirt if he's groveling. He gets knocked out, but as he was blacking out, he managed to see Ryuga, and he was mad. "Are you mad because I blamed you for peeking? I mean, that second punch was you, right?" The chapter ends with Ryuga having a clenched fist, giving off the "you deserve this" face. And that ends Need to Speak with Android. I pretty much skimmed the first 2 chapters of the manga, and skipped a bunch of shit. I just kind of want to leave you the thought that if you want to know more about the story, you can find it, you know? The story isn't licensed, and I doubt it will be anytime soon. And I just want some people to know, I want people to know about the story, you know what I'm saying? So I'm going to start shooting out my personal thoughts on this story, because I genuinely enjoyed it. It's a really dumb title, I'm going to tell you right now. I found this by accident, and it isn't really appealing, because it just sounds stereotypical, you know what I'm saying? I know it's not the typical entire synopsis of the story in a title, but if you open the first few pages, you kind of just see a bunch of tropes just blaring at you. You just start with a monster fight, and a dude and 3 girls are fighting against evil with their guardian beasts. Oh, did they win? Wow! And then in the background, you see Ichiro fucking mad that Ryuga gets all the attention. Ryuga and friends are just surprised Ichiro's there, because, why the heck is a civilian near a monster fight? Dude starts obviously bullshitting really hard, and then, that's where I got hooked. Because you know where the story is going with that one page in the manga. Me, the person in charge of Ryuga's slice of life part of the story. Ryuga Hinamori's friend, also professional protagonist buddy, Ichiro Kobashi. That was when I knew this story was fucking stupid, and I fucking loved it. The story is about a dude who wants to stay on the sidelines, but the fucking POV is, that dude. Ichiro's like having every scenario play out in his mind to be the perfect side character, but no fucking side character does that shit. It's a character that's really annoying or fucking ridiculous that you love it, you know? I'm at that point where I just want to see him crash and burn. I'm gonna skip over Ryuga for now and just talk about the heroines for a second, because they are interesting to say the least. Not in an actual character kind of way, because they feel cookie cutter. But whenever they interact with Ichiro, it's just a clown fiesta. In the very next chapter, you meet up with the rich flat healer, Shiori. She's just waiting, so Ichiro plans to do the standard, "Oh, you don't know my name" joke. He's a side character, she's a heroine, so why would she know his name? Turns out, she knows his name, and it fucking just crashes and burns there. It's to the point where Ichiro just thinks, oh no, this heroine has no chance. Doesn't have enough heroine power or some shit. Conversation continues, and eventually it rebounds, but holy crap, it was just a dumb interaction. The characters are bland and boring, but when they interact with Ichiro the clown, oh, it enhances it, you know, it's like that special sauce. I'm not gonna really talk about the fucking vampire, she's fucking useless, I hate her, but, I don't want to spoil things right now, so I'm not. There had to be a worse of the 3, and she literally sucks. I just went over Rei, so you get my feelings about her. Now let's finally talk about Ryuga, the hero of the story. I'm not going to say much, just focus on Ryuga whenever he shows up in the story. There's a lot of dumb faces that he makes, and you kind of get a lot of inner thoughts by this, which you can't see in the light novel. If I had to choose, I would pick the manga over the light novel. The only reason I ever read the light novel was because the manga comes out really slowly. And don't get me wrong, the manga is really well done, and it needs all the time it can take. It's just that I'm impatient. I almost forgot, but I guess I'm a YouTuber now, so please like, comment, subscribe, and that's it for now. Peace. Oh, you're still here, I guess. Cool. I was kind of trying my best to lead you somewhere with that little comment there, right? If you're here, I'm gonna spoil it right now, so leave. But Ryuga's what they call a reverse trap.